Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Means we're brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Jordan Kitchens, Gassy Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and we are fired up. You are here. Look, this is the last day without LSU on the practice field. Saints have been at it for just over a week. LSU's at it tomorrow, and our long summer is just about over. Sharief, Ishaq going to be here talking Saints at 1:15. Black and Gold put the pads on yesterday, and by all accounts, the offense really showed up. We'll talk to Sharief about that coming up. Glen West is here at 1:30. He's with the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 team. We'll talk LSU with him. Is private equity coming to LSU? Some people seem to think so. Matt Moscona working on some things as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that coming up at 1:45. Got some sound from Saints camp as well, so we'll get to some of that. I wrote 3 freshmen to watch for LSU in fall camp, and The Athletic put together a really extensive look at the quarterbacks in the NFL and put them into tiers. Where does Tyler Shuck rank, and where does he need to rank for the Saints to achieve the things that they want to achieve this fall? We'll talk about all that over the course of the next 2 hours. Let's start what we do every day with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
The coaches poll is out. Does that get you fired up? I don't know. We don't know what we're talking about in August, but they ranked the teams, so we'll go ahead and talk about that. LSU ranks 13th in the initial coaches poll. Of course, it's a 12-team playoff, so that puts you very squarely on the bubble, and I honestly don't have a huge problem with that. Look, LSU was a trendy pick last year, a preseason top 10 pick last year, a preseason top 5 team after a week after you go on the road and beat what we thought was a top 10 Clemson team, and it turned out neither one of those teams was worth a hill of beans. So it's just, we don't know. I'm not here to tell you that we know, but it is a discussion point, and I think more so than what do coaches and whoever's filling out these ballots think about LSU, which 13th is certainly not a terrible spot to begin. I was curious where LSU's schedule would rank in the coaches poll. At the top of the coaches poll with the most first place votes by a long shot is Ohio State. They're number 1 in this poll, 38 first place votes. Second to 38 first place votes is Indiana, who got 14, but they're actually down at 6 in this poll. The top 5 in order: Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, who got 7 first place votes, Texas, and Notre Dame, all right there in front of defending national champion Indiana. Rounding out the top 10, Miami at 7, A&M at 8, Oklahoma at 9, and the Ole Miss Rebels at 10. So what about LSU's schedule? What does it look like? Well, if you're a season ticket holder, according to the coaches poll, you're getting your money's worth. It's a loaded home docket for LSU. Visiting Tiger Stadium this fall. Number 4, Texas, who received 2 first-place votes. Number 8, Texas A&M. Number 11, Alabama. And number 23, Clemson. This is the first poll I can recall seeing Clemson included in. ESPN and a lot of the national publications have not been super high on Clemson, but the coaches ranked them at number 23. So 4 top 25 teams, including 3 teams in the top 11 in the country, will visit Tiger Stadium this year. That's going to be a big deal. Now, you look at what LSU's got to do on the road, and it's the 2 Kiffin trips. It's number 10 Ole Miss, who you will visit in week 3, and it's number 18 Tennessee, who you will visit at the end of November. Those are your only 2 ranked road games, number 10 Ole Miss and number 18 Tennessee. And so to round out LSU's schedule, you've got the unranked teams, which is Louisiana Tech and McNeese, your 2 non-conference games that are not Clemson. Obviously, McNeese is an FCS team. Louisiana Tech, not ranked in the top 25. Then you got your other 4 SEC games. Mississippi State, who comes to Tiger Stadium, not ranked, as you'd expect. And then 3 road games, at Kentucky, at Auburn, and at Arkansas. None of those three teams ranked. All three of those teams breaking in a new coach. So this stands to reason what we've been going back to since this schedule was released and something that I was talking about in Tampa a couple of weeks ago. There are a number of different ways to slice this schedule up. The way I choose to do it is to look at the road games first. And you got two top 20 teams you got to play on the road, and LSU has got to get one of those games. You have to win one of those games, right? And then you have to take care of your unranked teams. I don't care about Tech. I don't care about McNeese, but you have to win a home game against Mississippi State and 3 road games, Kentucky, Auburn, and Arkansas. You have to win all those games. If you do those two things, you have 4 games left at home where you need to go 3-1. That's Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Clemson. And it's going to be difficult. But this just in. The Southeastern Conference is pretty difficult. And while it is reasonable to suggest this coach's poll is going to be significantly flawed and that what we get spit out to us after Thanksgiving looks nothing like what we get the first week of August, it stands to reason Texas is going to be pretty good. It stands to reason Texas A&M is going to be pretty good. It stands to reason Bama is going to be pretty good. I won't go as far with Clemson, only to just say it's possible Clemson is pretty good. But those first 3, if Texas goes sideways and loses 4 games this year, that's going to be pretty stunning. A&M could, but you've got that Elko defense, a veteran quarterback, and some real playmakers at running back and wide receiver. But it's in Tiger Stadium. And I think when I look at the schedule, I don't think LSU can go 4-0 in Tiger Stadium against Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Clemson. I do think 3-1 is reasonable. That means you split those road games at Tennessee and Ole Miss, and you take care of the teams that you will be favored against even on the road. That is the roadmap for this LSU team. It's a challenging one, but if you look at any team in the Southeastern Conference, it's challenging. LSU plays 6 teams ranked in the top 25 by the coaches. They play 3 teams ranked in the top 10 by the coaches. Those 3, Texas at home, A&M at home, and at Ole Miss. It's a gauntlet, and it's the second half of analyzing a team preseason. I got a question in our mailbag today on LouisianaSports.net. Said, hey, why did you miss so bad with the rest of the media on LSU's football team last year? And I didn't take any offense to that. I said, yeah, I'm going to get a lot of stuff wrong. I talk for 20 hours a week, and then I write 20 stories a week. You're going to get plenty of stuff wrong on predictions. You can't get stuff wrong on news. You can get stuff wrong on predictions. And I was wrong on last year's team. I had them 10-2. They were not close to that. Why? Well, part of it was the injury to your quarterback. And part of it was anything that could go wrong did. Up front, you had injuries and poor play. Defensively, you buckled against running quarterbacks. You couldn't run the ball. It was just bad. But this time of year, you're analyzing a team, and I got it wrong last year, I think more so based on the way the team performed. You take that part of this, how good you think the team is, based on what you see and what you know, and then you have to match it up with the schedule. And when I look at LSU's schedule and I look at their team, I think I am being a little bit more guarded this year than I was last year. And I don't know if that's scar tissue from last year or just how I feel analyzing the team and, more importantly, this schedule. Because I think these teams coming into Tiger Stadium are really good, and I think road games in the SEC are tricky. And you do have 5 road games in the SEC that I'm asking you to go 4-1 in, and you've got 4 brutal home games I'm asking you to go 3-1 in. It's a tall ask. But the coaches seem to think LSU's got a chance to do it because they've got them ranked 13th. And I think that's a fair place to put LSU. It's right on the bubble for the playoff. And I think LSU is probably right on the bubble for a college football playoff. I'm not here to tell you that I think that LSU is significantly better than Miami, who's ranked 7th and brings in Darian Mensah and still has Mark Fletcher and Malachi Toney. I'm not here to tell you that LSU's proven more than Texas A&M over the last 2 years. You can argue with A&M's schedule, which has been manageable the last 2 years, but they've whitewashed LSU in back-to-back second halves. Bama's handled LSU. And you got Texas Tech right there in front of LSU. We'll see what their quarterback situation is. And right behind LSU, you got USC, BYU, Michigan, Penn State, Tennessee. I think that's a class that it's reasonable to put LSU in. If you want to put them at the front of that class, fine. But the schedule is tough. And that's what's laid out here when you take a look at that first coaches poll. Lane Kiffin's team reports today. They'll get everybody checked in. They'll get everybody fitted for some pads, and they'll get out there and work tomorrow at 10:05, and the media will be admitted in. We'll have a full practice report up at louisianasports.net, and we'll certainly talk about it right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. They'll practice on Wednesday morning at 10:05. They'll practice Thursday evening, I believe 6:25, maybe 6:35. And then they'll practice Friday morning, and I don't think we're permitted access to that, and we are not on Saturday either. I know we are on Saturday. So it's a different schedule with Lane Kiffin. I know people were asking me what kind of access we're going to get with Lane Kiffin. We don't have times yet on the email. We only have periods. We're going to get to watch 3 periods tomorrow. They could be 10-minute periods. They could be 5-minute periods. You never really know. Sometimes those individual periods go like 4 minutes. Sometimes they run a team period that's 15 minutes. You just never know, and we only got periods. So I don't know how long we'll be permitted to watch, but we will be out there tomorrow at 10:35. So we'll have full practice reports up again at the website, louisianasports.net, and I'll be talking about it in the first segment of my show tomorrow on Wednesday. Our Tuesday shows are brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Saints have been at it for a week. Offense got cooking yesterday. Sharief Ishaq was there. We'll talk to him about it when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. Look, looking for financing options for a new roof? You got it with Lifetime Roofing. 0% for 18 months. If you're looking to finance a deductible, you've got a sizable deductible and you want to make a claim and get that new roof, they can finance deductibles at Lifetime Roofing. If you want a lifetime workmanship warranty, you're going to have to look pretty hard to find that outside of Lifetime Roofing. They're so proud to have been able to offer that as of January 1st of this year, and it's backed by Certainty, one of the oldest and most trusted names in building materials. The craftsmanship is backed as well. And if you're looking for more than just a roof, you want professional installation of gutters, siding, windows, all of that is available through my friends at Lifetime Roofing, a Baton Rouge-based roofing company that has core values, customer service, quality, and integrity. They can take care of your roofing needs, your siding need, your gutter needs, your window needs. It's all there at Lifetime Roofing. Find them online at lifetimeroofingla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday show is always brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. On Tuesdays, we talk to Sharief Ishaq. Sometimes that's in the second hour. Sometimes it's in the first hour. You never know when it's going to happen. But today, it's in the first hour. Sharief Ishaq, WDSU down in New Orleans, joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sharief, how are we feeling?
I feel like every Tuesday morning, I constantly text you, hey, can I talk earlier because I got something to do? Even when the Saints are off. I seem to always do this to you, so I don't apologize, but I apologize.
I appreciate the insincere apology there that I kind of halfway got. That's great. Wonderful stuff there. It sounds like yesterday when the pads went on, the Saints offense kind of took off a little bit for the first time in camp. Is that how you've seen it? The defense has kind of controlled things, but the offense threw a punch back yesterday?
You know, Hunt, it always seems to be a tradition unlike any other. The first few practices are ruled by the defense, and when the pads come on for the first time, it flips, and it's the offense. By a little bit. Not much. By a little bit, I thought the offense controlled the entire practice, and I think Ishaq looked his best during that practice yesterday. But, yeah, you know, I found some players continuing to make plays. Jordan Tyson, you know, imagine that. Ramping him up actually worked, and getting him into practice during training camp to get him still acclimated to the team and everything. That's working. And look, your former LSU Tiger, Barryon Brown, was making some very good plays yesterday down the field. Did drop one of the team drills, but then came back at the end of practice and made an awesome catch down the sideline. But you're starting to see some of those young faces make some splash plays in practices as this training camp continues to move along.
Can you describe kind of how they're using Jordan Tyson a lot around the line of scrimmage? Is it down the field, intermediate passing game? Like, what are you seeing from him in terms of their usage? It's a week, but in terms of what they're using him to do?
Yeah, they've lined him a lot. They've been lining him up a lot, around the slot. They've been lining him on the outside. That's the one thing he did when he talked to us the other day. I think it was on Friday when Olave talked, that the one thing he's working on is just cleaning up some of his routes and moving around the line. But yeah, they've used him a lot, especially like in possession situations, getting him to work the middle of the field, running these short dig routes, comeback routes, running down the seam. He's been doing a lot of work out of the spot, and looks pretty good so far. I know it's 5 practices, but he's looked pretty clean and looked pretty good making plays whenever they get into team drills.
I'm definitely going to ask about the defense here, but I want to stick on the offense, and then we'll just transition to the other side of the football. But offensively, running back rotation, kind of what does that look like early on?
It's been HN and then Alvin Kamara. That's just, what we said it was going to happen was exactly that the path that Kellen Moore and his coaches have taken. Number 3, then number 41. That's how they've been getting it. But, there have been times where Alvin has been running there and team drills with the number 1s, but it's been mostly HN. And that's how it's probably going to be. And there have been times, Hunt, that both guys have been lining up in formation together and, giving the defense a little bit of a fit. You split them in the backfield or you line up Alvin in the slot. And they've been doing that a few times during this training camp.
Has the offensive line kept Tyler Shuck upright?
There have been a couple times where I've seen Chase Young get back there and knock him down, and I saw Jordan do it yesterday, and he kind of you could just kind of see they were laughing it off. But there have been times where Cam and Chase have blown through that line and gotten back there and put him on his butt. So yeah, there's been times that the offensive line has struggled, but I look at it this way, Hunt. Every training camp, we see the same thing. The defense seems to always be ahead of the offense, and we get about 6 or 7 practices in, and then it flips. It completely flips.
We'll see. I'm curious now to flip over to the defensive side of the ball. We know that Brian Brzee is not going to be in the middle of that defensive front. What are they doing without him there?
Seeing a lot of Nathan Shepard. You're getting a lot of Christian Miller, Vernon Broughton, 2 guys they drafted in back-to-back years. Remember, Broughton didn't even play last year. He hurt his hip in training camp and never saw the field. So they're going to rely heavily on those guys. They're going to rely on Gottschall a lot. Guys who can plug the middle, and that's been the rotation. Those 4 guys have been seeing a lot of time up the middle in order to, replace Brian. Brian Brzee played almost every snap last year. I could be wrong. He might have played every snap last year for the most part. So that's a tough replacement. But they're going to have to rely heavily on those 4 guys, and they've seen, if not equal, playing time all training camp so far.
Quincy Riley on the outside, Kool-Aid McKinstry on the outside. Those guys are going against a brand new group of receivers. What have you seen from the Saints corners?
Got a chance. I know, man, it's so tough to see one-on-ones, but I just watched Olave versus McKinstry yesterday, and Olave got him 2 out of 3 times. I saw Quincy run up against a few different receivers, and he did well. And you know what Quincy really does well is during team drills. He hangs with Chris Olave down the field. He's got the speed and the ability to have tight coverage on Olave. If you can do that, that's good. I've seen him go one-on-one with Jordan Tyson. Tyson got him a few times, but he's gotten a few PBUs on Tyson. So they're growing. They're getting better. I can't wait to see what they're like together in this season. They're young. They have that ability to continue, working that outside really well and slowing down those top receivers. Interested to see how even Martin Emerson Jr. fits in with them. So those 2 guys, the top 2 cornerbacks, have been fine. Kool-Aid rolled his ankle last week, but he came back to practice the next day. So you got to keep them healthy. We keep saying you got to keep those 2 guys healthy.
Anything of note at the safety position? I know Jonas Anker coming down and playing that star role as well from that spot. What have you seen from the back end of the defense?
I've liked what Jonas Anker has done in the practices I've watched. The one thing he says he's learning is being close to the line of scrimmage because he hasn't played this role since he was at Virginia. He said his sophomore year was the last time he played. He's still getting adapted and adjusted to playing closer to the line of scrimmage. That's the one thing that he's, got to work on as they get throughout camp and the preseason games. But he made a really good play in the indoor facility on Sunday at the goal line, knocking the ball away from Jordan Tyson. It would have been a touchdown. But man, he shows speed and he's very smart. He's in the right spots a lot. I want to flip over to Julian Blackman. Him coming off that shoulder injury that ended his season in the opener against.
Had a great camp.
Yeah, great camp, and he's motivated because he's motivated because he's dealt with injuries throughout his career. I mean, back-to-back season openers. He's hurt his shoulder, Achilles injury, ankle injury, all since 2021. This guy has the talent, and his talent is going to be able to help Jonas Sinker because he played in that nickel role in his career, so he knows what to do. He was going to play it last year until he was playing it last year and then he got hurt. So he had a nice interception Sunday at the goal line. He's made a few plays, but I take it with a grain of salt, man. 5 practices it in, good or bad. I mean, let's see what it's like at the end of training camp. I want to see what it's like the first 2 games of the preseason, then 3 or 4 games into the regular season. That's when I really start judging this team.
Sharief, Ishaq, WSU is our guest covering the New Orleans Saints down there in Metairie. Saints off today, but back at it tomorrow. Just big overview here on Tyler Ishaq. We've talked about every kind of position individually, but Ishaq's the guy that's got to make this thing go. What have you seen from him?
I thought it was a slow start to camp, but he's gotten better. Like, he did throw 1 interception to Quincy Riley the first day of camp that was open to fans, but it was Jordan Tyson's fault. Jordan said he broke the wrong direction. He tried to recorrect, and it was the wrong move by him. For the most part, I think he's been solid. I mean, he's been solid. I think it's gotten better, especially the last 2 practices, mainly the last practice yesterday where I told you the offense just kind of flipped the switch a little bit. But his reads are good. Making good reads. He's making good throws. I'm waiting on the deep ball to hit a little bit better. It feels like he hits the deep ball better in the games than he does in practice. It's almost like a reporter being better at live shots than as lives. Some people are just better. Some people are just better at live reps than they are at like practice. There's a lot of people call them practice players, and there's people who call live players. Live players sometimes, like Tyler Ishaq, just can't wait to get out there and throw the ball deep during a game, and it connects. So I'm waiting to see if he can get in rhythm with his receivers down the field a little bit more. He's been good intermediate routes. He's been good flushing the pocket and making those unique throws. I saw one the other day yesterday to Travis Etienne. He broke the pocket, rolled left, and made a great 3/4 angle throw to Etienne on the sideline. So he's great at like creating plays outside of a pocket, and when the pocket breaks down, he knows what he's doing. He can run, or he can flip the wrist 3/4 and make something happen. So I'm interested to see how that deep game develops throughout the rest of this camp. Get the whole camp as a 1 last year, not much with 1 really with all the 1s. So this is his team now. So that's one of the areas I'd like to see him develop a little bit more, and that's going to come with time. It will come with time.
Who do you think emerges as that deep threat? Is that a spot Baryon Brown might be able to grab now that Jalen Polk's out of the mix?
Yeah, whenever I think Baryon Brown's going to probably add some weight here, and he's going to be a little bit more physical. He needs to add some weight, but man, he's a burner.
Yeah,
he's a burner. You know that. We've seen that, return game at LSU, and even when he was at Kentucky. When you put him on the edge, and he's got like 1-on-1 coverage, I mean, that cornerback better hope he can keep up with him. I mean, he did it twice yesterday. In one he dropped, one he caught. In 1-on-1 drills, no one could like keep up with him in 1-on-1 drills. I mean, it's 1-on-1 drills. It's hard for a defensive back or a cornerback sometimes to keep up with fast receivers, but he's got the speed. Man, I know Kellen Moore wants to use him when more than just special teams. That's what he said. He's like, I know I can play him outside on the edge. So that tells you something. He's going to be one of their deep threats this year.
We shall certainly see. It'd be cool to see a former LSU Tiger making plays in the black and gold on Sunday. Sharief, we appreciate the time. Y'all stay cool out there, and we'll be checking in next week.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother you next week. I think I'll probably just keep it at 2:30, and then that morning I'll probably tell you I need to move it to like 1 o'clock.
I'm flexible, Sharief. I'm here to help you.
I'm here for you, buddy. See you next Tuesday.
Sharief Ishaq, WSU, down in New Orleans. I remember watching Baryon Brown in practice last spring and last fall in camp and thinking, his highlight tape is a lot of like go balls and screens, but he's a more complete receiver than that. And he's just been so underutilized in an anemic Kentucky passing attack. He'll be a lot better with a quarterback that can throw for 4,000 yards like Garrett Nussmeier did last year. And of course, we know that Nussmeier got hurt and the passing game never materialized. And honestly, Barryon Brown played 4 years of college football without playing in a real passing offense. So if he can actually get into an offense that's functional in New Orleans, maybe there's another gear he can unlock, and that there's no doubt he can really run. I mean, you can see him turn it open on those kickoffs that he ran back at Kentucky and at LSU, and he can, when he gets going, he's moving. And hopefully the Saints have got something there in Barryon Brown, who they took out of LSU. Speaking of LSU, let's switch lanes over to LSU. Tigers start camp tomorrow. Glen West will be there. We're talking to him about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Gotros Outdoor Power. They're online at gotrosonline.com, but just go check them out. Go check them out on Airline. Go check them out in Gonzales. In August, they've got a summer clearance sale going. It's incredible. They've got up to $1,000 off select Gravely, Skag, and Hustler zero turns. 0% financing is available as well. Again, up to $1,000 off select Gravely, Skag, and Hustler zero turn mowers. So if you need a new mower, it's the middle of summer. That grass is growing. Get on by and see them. Looking for a Skag, looking for a Hustler, looking for a Gravely, you know where to go. Gotros Outdoor Power. You can find them online at gotrosonline.com, or you can find them right there on Airline or in Gonzales. It's Gotros Outdoor Power.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. It's Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. You can find them online at immense.net. That's immense.net. Let's talk some Tigers. Glen West, the senior writer over at the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 team. Unless you're on the practice field tomorrow, Glen joins us on the Tim's Firearms Hotline. Glen, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great, Hunt. Just ready to get back to some football here, ready to talk to the head man, and hopefully we can get some team questions into him, some more team-centric questions, I should say, into him than what we maybe got a few weeks ago at Media Days.
I'm not sure you're going to get a 17-minute filibuster at that first press conference this time around. There's not as many people from the Mississippi media here, not as many people from the national media here. I think you'll be ready to roll with team questions when Lane Kiffin does meet with the media, I believe, tomorrow after practice. Where are you headed when you walk in the gate tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I'll be the boring one and probably go with everybody else and go see what Sam Levitt's up to for a few minutes. I think that's going to be a very popular area of the field, just for people that might not know or might not see, all the media videos and stuff. They usually have the quarterbacks during individual drills on the opposite field, and we're able to kind of maneuver our way over there to the opposite field and get a chance to look at the quarterbacks, usually handing off to the running backs and then maybe doing some 1-on-0 passing to the wide receivers. So that'll be fun. But I think, what's going to be interesting is maybe the rotation in the trenches, just kind of what that might look like on the offensive and defensive line. I still think that there's some spots on both sides of the line of scrimmage that are going to be up for grabs over the next several weeks. And so I think it'll be very interesting to see kind of, can Bo Bordelon and Weston Davis hold on to their spots on the O-line, who steps up opposite Prince-Well Uman-Mielen on the edge, and then on the interior D-line, there's probably a group of 5 players that you could pencil in to those 2 spots and not be wrong. So how that shakes out over the next several weeks, I'm going to be very curious about as well.
How do you feel about the interior of the defensive line?
I think I don't want to go to concerning, but it's one of the questions that I think you should have going into fall camp, because there's a few players in there that have some experience. Stephylon Green and Malik Blockton were brought from major Power 4 programs and have some level of experience of playing. But I think LSU is going to have some expectations here that guys like Deuce Geralds and Richard Anderson are ready to play right away and ready to compete for some meaningful snaps. And so I think that when you're talking about two true freshmen, that kind of raises some eyebrows there. But they're also two very talented players, and so I think there's some risks involved there, but also some real benefits if they hit as true freshmen. So I'll be curious to see what they look like. And then Dominic McKinley too is a returning player that has all the former cachet of a 5-star player. Can he take that next step in his development and be a piece that LSU can work in there more consistently in year 3? But these are all players that are fine players, but to some extent all kind of unproven here, I guess, going into 2026.
Glen West is our guest, senior writer over there at the Bengal Tiger, part of the team on 3. He's covering LSU football, basketball, baseball. Is with us on Tuesdays. Continue kind of talking about this LSU team on the eve of camp. They report today on the practice field just after 10 o'clock tomorrow. At a wide receiver, what's your take on the amount of depth and who kind of rises to the top out there?
Yeah, there's a lot of names to sift through, of course. I think, when you're talking wide receiver, I think the number one pass catcher on this team is probably going to be Trey Green. I feel pretty comfortable about that. I think they're going to get him involved in a myriad of different ways. But who steps up next to him, I think, is going to be a real big question mark. And I think that if you go by what we saw in the spring, Winston Watkins and Jackson Harris are two players that really come to mind right off the bat. I think those two showed real consistency throughout from the beginning of spring to the end of spring. Have they carried that momentum forward here over the summer and into fall will be very interesting to watch play out. I think outside of maybe those two, Jace Brown is going to be a guy from Kansas State that's talked about a lot. I thought he had some moments in the spring where he looked really good, and then maybe some moments where he disappeared a little bit. But I think that is normal when you're getting accustomed to a new system and you're working so many new guys in there. So Jace Brown is going to be one to watch. I think Eugene Wilson, the transfer from Florida, is very interesting as well. A great athlete. He's been a little bit banged up the last couple of years, his career, but has immense potential in this offense. And so I think you start maybe with those four or five. Malik Elzy is another player. Phillip Wright, some of these guys that had some flashing moments, I think, back in the spring that could also work in there.
I got a question on our mailbag today, and I want to pose it to you because you were right there with me at fall camp last year. And the same kind of could apply to baseball this past year. But, I was asked, how did y'all get it so wrong last year looking at that team and suggesting what they were going to be and then what they ended up being? And we all are well aware that Garrett Nussmeier got hurt and was never healthy the entire year. But, what did you – taking inventory of what you saw last year and what you predicted that team to be and then what they ended up being, does that change the way you're going to watch fall camps moving forward?
Yeah, I think so. I think last year was a little bit unique because I do think that while, yes, I think there was a consensus that this team would still be pretty good, I do think that in fall camp we did raise some alarm flags about the offensive line.
Yeah.
I do think that was pretty consistent throughout, the media corps and just people that got to see that group and see that offense. And so, but at the same time, you're questioning okay, is that the offensive line or is it just going to be this defensive line is really, really good for LSU? And so you can never really know until you start playing games and stuff like that. But it was just not something that translated well into games for LSU offensively in particular. They just were not very, they were very predictable offensively. And so I think that there was a lot that, you could sift through and certainly get wrong. And so in that same vein, though, I don't get the sense that this Lane Kiffin offense is going to be the same. I feel like there's going to be a lot of consistency there in terms of the explosiveness. I think we'll see that over the course of fall camp. I think you'll see plays being made. I think you'll see scrambles from the quarterback. I think you'll see all the different things that make the Lane Kiffin system really, really work. Come into effect here in fall camp, and so I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Tigers are ranked 13th in the coaches poll. How do you feel about that?
I think it's fair. I think it's right about where you'd expect them to be. I think it also says great work, Lane Kiffin and the front office staff for turning a 7-6 roster into a team that's the very next offseason or very next preseason, ranked number 13th in the country. I mean, they had a ton of work to do this past offseason, and they added nearly 60 new players. And so you hope that with all that talent coming in, that there that there would be some kind of reflection there in the polls. And I think that certainly shows in the coaches poll. It'll probably show in the AP poll whenever that gets released. But at the end of the day, you still got to go out there and prove it on the field. I think LSU was 10 or 11 or 12 last year in all these polls going into the year too. So you just can never take it with too much salt there. So I think it's good. I think it shows that the roster that they have is talented, but can this collection of talent become a team over the next 4 or 5 months is going to be ultimately what decides where they finish in November and December.
Logan Schmidt headed to Jay Johnson's program here in the fall. That? He'll be on the roster for the spring. What does that mean for LSU?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I think more than anything, it just solidifies your future on the mound. Like, I think not only just for 2027, but when you look ahead in 2028 and 2029, this class, I feel like, can be one of those defining classes when you go back 3 years from now and look back. And if LSU's had a tremendous amount of success, I think you'll go back to, this month where LSU came in and got a whole bunch of guys that, I don't think many expected to reach campus. And that includes now Logan Schmidt. I think in 2027, he's a guy that I could see filling a myriad of different roles. I could see him, competing with those starters and pushing those starters to the brink. And, I don't know if he'll be a weekend starter. I think that's probably a lot to put on a guy that you still haven't, gotten into your system and worked with and developed yet. But he's going to be a huge piece of this team next year. I really believe that. I think you could see him start midweeks. I think you could see him kind of maybe in that role that we saw Kason Evans in as a freshman, that he was so electric in, pitching meaningful innings, going deep into innings, into games from a bullpen perspective, and maybe be a closer for him. So the sky's the limit for him. He's got immense potential in the long term, but I also think he'll be a valuable piece for this team in the short term as well.
Thanks, Glenn. We'll see you out there tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Hunt.
He's Glenn West, senior writer over there at the Bengal Tiger, part of the team over there on 3. Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. It is back to school time. If you feel like you need a new wagon to get the kiddos to and from school in the mornings, go check them out over at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They got great deals on Chevy Suburbans, Chevy Tahoes. GMC has, of course, the Denali. They've also got GMC Sierras if you're looking for a truck. Chevy Silverados if you're looking for a truck. Fantastic deals and great service right there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. The Fabry family has been at this for 35 years in the Baton Rouge area. They know how to take care of the people in the capital city, and it's a short drive from right here on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Start your process online. Check out the entire inventory there at FabryChevrolet.com. You can search by new, pre-owned vehicles. You can search by price, mileage, make, model, all that at the tip of your fingers at FabryChevrolet.com. And then go see him, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Maybe it's a segment for a different day because we're bumping up on the end of the hour about what we saw last year in camp versus what actually happened on the field. And Glenn did bring up a good point that we were concerned about the offensive line, and that ended up being a disaster, and then the quarterback was hurt, and it all kind of spiraled from that. And that it probably has a lot to do with it, and maybe we thought the defense was going to be a little bit better than it was, but then we looked pretty smart when they went to Clemson and played the way that they did against what we found out was a bad Clemson offense. So there's a lot of variables out there. It's really hard to peg a team by watching them practice themselves. So it's just we all kind of missed to a certain extent, and so we'll try to get it right this time around when we go see them tomorrow at 10:05, and we'll have a practice report up at LouisianaSports.net, and we'll certainly talk about it on the show tomorrow. Matt Moscona's got a new piece up at LouisianaSports.net. He's spoken with multiple people that were in the room last night when Dr. Wade Roos presented this potentially transformational way to approach the finances in collegiate athletics. There have been people that are really petrified about this because of 2 words, and I'll talk about that at the end of this hour. We'll do it next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If there is a crack in your shower, a crack in your tub, don't just wave it off. Don't just wave it off. That can be the worst thing to do, because if you've got a crack in your tub or a crack in your shower and you're running water consistently and water gets beyond that and it gets to a place where you can't see it, then what? Well, you might have a situation where that water gets into the walls, gets into the ceiling, into the floors, could create rot, could create mold, and you could have a serious repair on your hands. So if you see an imperfection, you see a crack in your shower, you see a crack in your tub, call David Duvall at One Bath and Closets. Let him come in and check it out, because that's someone who's been dealing with this kind of stuff for 30 years. He'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. If you need a brand new bathroom, he can help you with that. If you just need a quick fix there, they can help you with that as well. You can transform your bathroom, but it's not just that. It's making sure that there's not significant damage that goes on beyond your bathroom as well. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Y'all, cyber attacks can be silent and they can be significant. If you run a business and somebody hacks into your system, what kind of information could they gather? Just your employees' information, tons of client information. And what if you're not able to detect them being in there and then they're there for 6 months until you figure something's wrong? All of a sudden, you've got something very expensive and significant on your hands there. If you work with Immense Networks Cloud IT Management, they're monitoring your systems 24/7 to proactively make sure that doesn't happen. It's not something that a lot of business owners think about all the time until you have to, until you've got an issue. And you've got employees potentially clicking emails they're not supposed to click, phishing operations happening all the time. Let Immense come in and handle that on the front end for you. It's not just that they can help your business grow using information technology. It's not just that they can be a resource for you for break and fix, which you kind of think about in terms of IT all the time. They can also be a resource for you in terms of protecting your systems from harmful attacks. They're right here in Baton Rouge. If you're a 50 to 100 person company, that's right in their sweet spot. Contact Immense Network Cloud IT Management. They're online at immense.net. Matt Moscona's got a piece up right now at louisianasports.net. He has spoken to people on the condition of anonymity that were in the room last night in the governor's mansion when Dr. Wade Roos spoke to very influential donors at LSU about a new plan that could be transformative in terms of revenue generation in collegiate athletics. I'm not here to tell you what he said. I'm not here to lay out the plan or give my opinion on the plan. Here's where I'm going to go with the limited information that I have. And Matt's got some information in the piece if you want to go read that and you're curious about what was said. People are freaked out by the term private equity. And I understand that. Like, it is not hard for me to connect these dots. Like, this is a reasonable thing to connect these dots. Okay. LSU needs a lot of money to pay these coaches, these buyouts, these players, these facilities. LSU needs a lot of money. They've spent a lot of money. They need to get more. Okay, well, who has money? Private equity. Well, they come in and they chip away and eventually gain control of the organization. And they're in it to make money. So they drive up ticket costs and price people out. They drive up parking costs and price people out. They corporatize things and they make the lower bowl of Tiger Stadium sold to a bunch of AT&T and IBM people, and Coca-Cola comes I get where you can connect that and you can rip the soul out of things because private equity only cares about making money. Like, I fully understand the way people can connect those dots. Here's where I'm coming from. And this might be naive. I admit that. It might be naive, but here's where I'm coming from. The people in that room give hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to LSU. Okay? I don't believe the people in that room who, it stands to reason, care a lot about LSU, want to see or will allow on their watch to see LSU have its soul completely ripped out for cash by a venture capital group. I don't believe that to be a reasonable thing to fear. I didn't say impossible. I just don't believe it. I don't think the people in this state, alums who support this place and it's part of their life, are going to just sell out for cash in this new era and have this thing look like the Super Bowl every Saturday night in Death Valley instead of 95,000 people from the state of Louisiana who bleed purple and gold. Again, I understand where you're coming from. I'm just not going to panic over this. Now, Matt's story that is up says that LSU is not at all interested in a traditional private equity deal. That's not the way this thing's going to go, where they just cut you the check for the $300 million and they own X percent and they start calling the shots. Like that's not what LSU is attempting to do here. I'm not an econ guy. I'm not a finance guy. I'm not the money guy. So I'm going to allow this to breathe a little bit and gain a little bit more information. J.R. Ball wrote a piece over at Red Eye. Matt's got a shorter piece up at louisianasports.net. I invite you to go read all of that and draw your own conclusions. I'm just not going to panic over two words, private equity, right this very second. I realize there are a lot of people that are. And I realize there are a lot of people that will listen to me say this and say, you don't get it. You've never been involved in private equity like this. You're right. But I don't think you're going to get a university president who claims to love the university and a booster group that I'm confident loves that university and what LSU athletics means to the university and to this state. I don't think people that have been that successful in business, that give that much money to LSU, that care that much about the purple and gold, are going to sit there and go, yeah, how do we get the most money possible? Go to private equity and get them to buy in for 9 figures. It'll be fine. I just don't believe that's going to happen. Again, please call me naive, say I don't understand, and I can't fight you on that. But it's not going to change my belief system. I don't think that the people of Louisiana and the boosters of that school are going to sell their soul. That's a stretch for me. That's it for hour number 1 here. We'll pause for Sports International headlines. Lots of football in hour number 2. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
As families get ready for back to school, Ochsner Health is reminding parents that success in the classroom starts with overall wellness. Check in on your kids, their mental health, not just their grades. Pay attention to their changes in mood, their behavior. Create some time to connect with them and encourage open conversations about how they're feeling. Look, many Ochsner Health Centers offer both primary care and pediatric services in one location, and that makes it easy for families to coordinate care for everyone in the household. Same-day appointments are available at a lot of the locations, and that can help families address some unexpected health concerns quickly as kids return to school and all the activities that come with that. They've got extended afternoon hours after school, as well as weekend appointment options and select locations. They can provide some flexibility for you for busy families that are balancing school, work, and extracurricular activities. If you want some more tips in helping your family start the school year healthy, safe, and ready to succeed, I invite you to visit ochsner.org/BR. That's ochsner.org/BR.